This Georgie and Mandy character makes Sheldon and Georgie's feud even more heartbreaking. The world of young Sheldon has given us a deeper look into the Cooper family's dynamics, enriching the backstory of the Big Bang Theory's most brilliant but socially awkward character. But in expanding that universe, the show has also unearthed emotional depth in characters who were previously sidelined, especially Sheldon's older brother, Georgie. Now, with the spin-off Georgie and Mandy's first marriage on the horizon, the evolving Cooper family drama becomes even more gut-wrenching, particularly in the context of the long-standing rift between Sheldon and Georgie. And there's one new character in Georgie and Mandy that makes their eventual estrangement even more painful: their child. A family torn apart by time. Fans of The Big Bang Theory already know the tragic fate of the Cooper family. Their father, George Sr., passes away when Sheldon is still young, and the family fractures in various ways. While young Sheldon has given more dimension to George Sr., showing him as a flawed but well-meaning father, it has also highlighted the ways his death affects Georgie. By the time we meet adult Georgie in The Big Bang Theory, he is deeply resentful of Sheldon. He feels abandoned, having had to take on the role of the family provider, while Sheldon pursued his prestigious academic career. Their relationship is strained, with Georgie believing that Sheldon never appreciated the sacrifices he made. In young Sheldon, we see the seeds of that resentment being planted, but Georgie and Mandy takes it a step further by adding a heartbreaking new layer. Georgie is now a father. Fatherhood changes everything. As young Sheldon introduced, Georgie and Mandy's unexpected pregnancy forced Georgie to grow up fast. Unlike Sheldon, who had the privilege of chasing his dreams uninterrupted, Georgie had to drop out of high school and take over his dad's tire shop to support his growing family. Mandy, initially skeptical of Georgie's ability to be a good partner and father, eventually comes around, and the two try to build a life together. Now, with Georgie and Mandy's first marriage focusing on their relationship and new family, we get to see Georgie as a father. And this is where the tragedy of his relationship with Sheldon becomes even sharper, because Georgie now knows what it means to be responsible for someone else's future. He knows what it means to love a child unconditionally. And yet, he also knows that Sheldon will eventually cut himself off from the family. A heartbreaking parallel. Throughout young Sheldon, one of the most defining aspects of Sheldon's character is his distance from traditional family roles. He is brilliant, but emotionally detached, often failing to recognize the sacrifices others make for him. He views his own success as paramount, sometimes to the detriment of those around him. Georgie, on the other hand, takes on responsibilities not because he wants to, but because he has to. Now, as a father, Georgie finds himself in a position eerily similar to their own father, George Sr. He is working hard to provide for his child, doing everything in his power to ensure their future. But deep down, he must wonder, will his child one day leave him behind, just as Sheldon left their family behind? Will he be forgotten, taken for granted? This parallel makes Georgie's eventual bitterness in The Big Bang Theory even more understandable. It's not just that he had to take care of the family while Sheldon thrived. It's that he knows firsthand what it's like to be a father, to love a child so completely, and yet still be abandoned. The unspoken pain of family obligations. Sheldon and Georgie's feud is not the result of one explosive event, but rather a slow, painful buildup of neglect, resentment, and misunderstanding. Sheldon never truly acknowledges what Georgie sacrificed, and Georgie never expresses just how deeply it hurts to be cast aside. In Georgie and Mandy, we will likely see Georgie doing everything he can for his child, working long hours, putting his dreams on hold, just as he did for his younger siblings after their father's death. And all the while, the audience will know the cruel irony. While Georgie is the backbone of the Cooper family, he will one day become a footnote in Sheldon's life. This is what makes Georgie and Mandy such a compelling addition to the young Sheldon universe. It doesn't just explore the romance between Georgie and Mandy, it deepens the emotional stakes of the entire Cooper family saga. The more we see of Georgie's struggles, the more painful his estrangement from Sheldon becomes. Can they ever truly reconcile? While The Big Bang Theory eventually shows Sheldon and Georgie reconciling, it's clear that the wounds between them run deep. Sheldon invites Georgie to his Nobel Prize ceremony, which is a significant gesture, but does it truly erase years of neglect? Does it undo the pain of being left behind? Perhaps the most heartbreaking aspect of Georgie and Mandy is that it shows how different their lives were from the start. Sheldon was always destined for greatness, and Georgie was always destined to pick up the pieces. By adding a child into the mix, Georgie's sacrifices become even more profound, making his eventual bitterness not just understandable but inevitable. It's rare for a sitcom universe to explore such deep emotional wounds between siblings, but young Sheldon and its spin-offs are doing just that. By giving Georgie a family of his own, Georgie and Mandy forces us to reconsider his character, not as the goofy older brother, but as someone who gave up everything for the people he loved, only to be left behind. And that, more than anything, is what makes Sheldon and Georgie's feud so tragic. It's not just about their past, it's about all the love and pain that was never truly acknowledged.